What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Thrifty, back with Thrifty PS Gamer Reviews. Thank you all for being here. Lovely to see everybody, and I really genuinely hope that everything is going good for you and your gaming. I am doing a review today over Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yes, I played the first one. Yes, I played the original. Yes, I've played many other Final Fantasy titles, and this is just another in a super long line of wonderful titles by Square Enix that have the Final Fantasy moniker. I am going to be discussing the same thing I always discuss: graphics, combat, gameplay, music, and voice work. That's it, guys. That's what we're here to talk about. Now, if you want more, if you want, like, more of the story, because I will cover the story and stuff like that a little bit. I purposefully left it off of this one because, Lord help, anything about the story could be considered a spoiler. So, I'm going to try to keep it very vague on the story. If you want more, there is a infographic on the screen, and you will be able to come and join us for a Final Fantasy VII spoiler cast on September 19th at 8:30. Got some awesome guests lined up for that, so if you would like to be in the chat or whatnot, just save the date on your calendar. It's going to be an awesome time. With that being said, though, let's get into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is obviously the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Square Enix has remade the original Final Fantasy game into 3 titles. We're going to be getting the third one sometime. But this being the second, and the first being kind of all in Midgar, this being the second, before it came out, everybody wondered how big it was going to be, how in depth, because the first game was only like 45 hours. Really, that's what it was, and that's if you did all the side quests like I did. It was about 45 hours. The only thing I didn't do was get the chin-up challenge, I think it was. Or, yeah, it was chin-ups in the first one, I think. I didn't get that. Could never get the max on that. But did everything else, and it took about 40 hours. So everybody was wondering, okay, after Midgar, even in the OG, everything opens up. And so what were we going to do with that? Were we going to be walking through corridors the whole time? Were we going to have the freedom to go anywhere? And I will tell you this, we're going to jump right into gameplay. They did a phenomenal job of mixing in the smaller areas, cities, towns, caverns, things like that, with these bigger, massive, sprawling open world areas. It was awesome. They came fully equipped with radio towers that you could unlock to remove the fog on the map. It was very open world style for today. And I absolutely loved it. In each area, you can get a chocobo, and after you get the chocobo, it helps you to access other parts of the map that you might not have been able to get to without the help of a chocobo. One of the regions, chocobo, is super annoying. The entire region, if you're familiar with the game Witcher 3, it reminds me of Skellige and how hard it was to navigate through Skellige, because everything was island here, had to get in a body of water, had to get in a boat, had to swim, had to do this. You had so many hoops you had to jump through to get all the stuff done in Skellige in The Witcher 3. Very annoying. Same problem with this. And so you do have this issue. You do have this running problem in this portion of the game. Everywhere else, though, is absolutely fantastic with the traversal and how you can use the chocobos to get around and all of that stuff. And they do kind of make up for it because that area has the worst chocobo. One of the other areas has the absolute best freaking chocobo. You can almost go anywhere and everywhere you want to go, and it's freaking awesome. Almost. It's a pseudo, like, flying chocobo. Anyways, it's super cool. But there is one where it is kind of a slog. Speaking of that, the game for the first 2/3 does a great job. For the first half does a great job of interweaving the big areas with the small areas, and then they really do give you 2 just massive areas back to back. And that was actually the point that I had to take a break. because I couldn't keep my attention on the game, and Stellar Blade had come out, and I was like, okay, I was gonna go over and play that. But I actually, like, after picking it back up and taking that break, I felt refreshed, got back in there, and it was once again an amazing experience. But like I said, there is that one point where it becomes, hey, you just finished exploring this big region. Now you're going to go over here. You're going to have a couple cutscenes, a couple interactions with some vendors, and then you're going to go explore this other big, massive area. It was a lot. It really, really was. And it did get to a point where it was kind of a slog. I know that I have not finished all of the side quests in the game, and I honestly, I'm going to take a break from it, and then I'm going to go back and finish them. But I'm not going to finish them anytime soon, because that is a portion of the gameplay that is kind of tedious when it's not being split up. For the first half of the game, I didn't even notice it. I had spent so much time in the first couple of regions. It was absolutely insane. I was loving it because every time I went somewhere, it led into another like story point or another point that kind of helped explain the side quests and how they were going to work and what you were going to do and things like that. Like some of them help let you have the ability to access the summons. If you can access your summons, in order to access them, you go fight them through Chadley, and then depending on how many of these keystones or key points you actually discovered out in the world, it weakens or it makes the fight with that summon easier. And so I love that aspect because there was actually a full hard payoff for that, and that is really, really cool. I like it when games give you actual payoffs for the side quests that are helpful in the game. And so Square Enix knows how to do that, and they did it well here. Gameplay is more than good. It is great. It's just not absolutely stunning and superb and flawless. So that's what I think about the gameplay. Let's get into graphics because we're going to have kind of the same thing on the graphics, and I don't want to make this video super long, and we're already going on 7.5 minutes. With this game, it came out, everything was blurry in 60 FPS mode. And I mean freaking everything was blurry in 60 FPS mode except the environments. Everything else was awful. Character models, rough because of that. They did offer a fix. They did that. It's not terrible. I like it. I think it's great. I think it runs really well now. There is still some blur. And so graphics are good. Not going to say they're amazing, but the graphics are good. And also, I never thought I'd be playing a Final Fantasy game that looked like this. So there is some of that too. It absolutely floors me and baffles me that I get to play video games that look this good and get on YouTube and say, you know what, it's okay. But that's what I'm going to do right here. The graphics look great, but they can be blurry if you play in 60 FPS. If you play in 30, they look absolutely stunning. The picture that you're going to see, or that you saw already in the video for the flyer for the spoiler cast, is a picture I took in game. Now, granted, there's been a lot of stuff added, but the background picture is a picture directly from the game, from my PS5. Absolutely stunning. Gorgeous. Costa del Sol was one of my favorite places. It was so bright and vibrant, and everything popped and looked great. And the beach, the ocean, the way they did it, everything looked absolutely stunning. And then the character models, when they're in movement, or when they're in motion, they are blurry, guys. So it's good, but it's not great. Combat, on the other hand, is absolutely wonderful. Combat, Square Enix has nailed the ability to do combat that is both action-focused and active time battle, or turn-based. And so the way they do it is so freaking flawless. And if you set up your materia right, you actually end up getting kind of a pseudo gambit system from Final Fantasy XII, where they can auto cast, they can auto use abilities, they can auto use specials. They actually do more stuff than just stand there and occasionally throw a hit. Like, they did a great job with the combat in this game. It is so much faster, so much more impactful than the first one. They nailed it, knocked it out of the freaking park. There are unity moves that you can do. They're not called unity moves. Synergy abilities that you can do with your teammates, and that depends on some of your interactions with them. Do they like you? Do they not like you? Are they how's your relationship with them? There's a whole relationship tracker in here. They did so much stuff with the combat. It's awesome. I cannot praise this combat enough. I really can't. It is so good. I know that one of my buddies who I had on the podcast talked to me about it, and he was like, man, in the first one, Cloud didn't feel like he had any weight to him. And in this one, it feels like dude is actually packing a punch. And I absolutely agree. Tifa is still one of my favorite characters to use, but after playing with Aerith in this one and figuring out some of the fun stuff that she can do and that you can do with her on the field, it literally made the in-game content null and void. Like, there was not any difficulty to it because I knew that I could use her, cast some of her wards that double, triple spell casting, or that help with healing, or while you're in there, you have protection from this and that. Like, I learned how to use those to my advantage and didn't start seeing her as just a healer, but more as like a freaking Swiss Army knife of protection. And so I absolutely cannot brag on the combat for this enough. I think it is one of the best, if not the best, combat in any Final Fantasy game since 15. I can say that because that's when they went with the more action hybrid. And so that's kind of what I think on that. And it's fantastic. So let's get into music. Guys, if you're a Square Enix fan at all, or if you've been in video games for 5 minutes, you know that Square Enix for Final Fantasy and for 90% of their other titles knocks the music out of the park. Actually, I'm going to change that to 100%. I have never heard a soundtrack from Square Enix that was bad. I have played games from Square Enix that were bad. I have never heard a soundtrack from Square Enix that was bad. And this one will absolutely impress and astonish. There are moments where you hear such crazy blends. There's one moment where you're controlling one of the other characters that's not Cloud, and you're in this underground area, and it sounds like the carnival meets Nightmare Before Christmas. And it was so eerie and creepy and yet jovial and nutty at the same time. Absolutely wonderful. And then the music score that they have for kind of the theme song, I literally have listened to that theme song on repeat a couple days ago because it is awesome. It's so good. Guys, the music for this, I don't really... Music in video games is amazing to me, but I'm not one of these nut jobs that like absolutely just dotes over it and can tell you all the composers and all that. I will get excited for music in a game. Like Doom Eternal has a freaking awesome soundtrack. Fits the vibe of the game to a T. And that's what they did with this. It fits the vibe of the game in every single moment. All of the cities have their own soundtracks. The characters have their own soundtracks. Sometimes when you're controlling other characters, the background music changes to what that character's theme is. Absolutely amazing attention to detail with that. And then that's going to carry us over into the voice work. 10 out of 10 voice work. Absolute 10 out of 10 voice work. I actually like the performances this time more than I did in the first one. The characters have more depth to them this time. They seem to be more seasoned. They're not just this group of startups that's trying to change the world. Like, they're a little bit more hardened now. And that's actually one of the things, and we'll get into story a little bit, but that's one of the things that you'll see with like character progression and story progression for these characters. Forget everything you thought about them from Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1. Like, they bring so much more depth, especially to certain characters. Especially to certain characters. And some of the emotional beats that they hit in this are phenomenal. Like, this game will make you feel something. It will. It will? It will make you feel something. It is so good. I would say if you're iffy on the game because you heard reviews or you know it's a little fuzzy or whatever, I would say to go ahead and forget all that crap, find the game for below $40, and I would say you're getting yourself a steal. I would say buy this game at full price, and it was well worth the purchase. It was one of the 3 games I'm purchasing full price this year. Actually, technically, this one was purchased for me by buddies from the Saltiest Gaming podcast. But guys, I'm telling you, if you've slept on this title, you need to pick it up. You need to play it. It is a wonderful time. And if you don't know anything that's gone on up to this point, I honestly think that's be better for you. I don't know if playing Rebirth helps out or playing Remake helps out as much as people think it does. I spent almost 100 hours on this game. I really could have known nothing about what happened in Remake, and everything still would have made sense because they give you a little bit of context throughout the story. So anyways, guys, that's the video. Once again, I didn't want to make it super long. It's already going on 17 minutes. That's my bad. I would love for y'all to let me know in the comments, have you played it? What do you think of it? Also, do not forget, you can like, subscribe, comment. You can also join and become a member of the channel. I would really appreciate that. You can leave a tip. You can do any of those things. You can also check us out every Wednesday night at 8:45 p.m. Central Standard Time on the podcast called The Playground. It happens on this channel once a week. Hope to see y'all there. I hope you give Final Fantasy VII Rebirth a try. It is absolutely a wonderful, wonderful time. As always, guys, stay thrifty.